most contentious point of the whole end time tribulation is this thing that you call the rapture. First thing is that you need to call these things by their proper name, their Greek names, and then translate them back into English. Is caught up. Okay, I'm not going to be another voice crying out in the wilderness. There's 3-4 main schools. Some believe that they're going to go out before the tribulation. Others believe they're going to go out at the end of the tribulations. And the third school believe that no one will go out. They'll all be martyred throughout the last 7 years of mankind. Can you not see that there's such extreme danger in all 3 schools? If you're from the first school of thought that you're going to go out at the very start of the tribulation, then you believe that nothing written in the book of Revelation can touch you, nothing in Daniel can touch you, that you won't be here. And this just embeds inside the people. What it can embed inside the people is this attitude of, I'm all right, I'm out of here, who cares? Don't you understand that just qualifies you for one of the 7 churches spewed out of the mouth of Christ? You think you're rich, but you're poor. Your heart has to be right, your attitude has to be right. If you're from the second school of thought that you're going out after 7 years, you'll be raptured then, caught up then you may intend to bury your head in the sand through all the fear of the trials and tribulations that are going to be in front of you and your children, your family. And you just have this attitude saying that, I just don't want to know about it. It's for another generation. It's not for my generations. It's not for my family. I don't want it. So you bury your head in the sand. And if you feel that you're going to all be martyred and no one is caught up, then the same thing. You will probably just live in fear. Do you not see the 3 dangers? The 3 dangers of all 3 schools. I shall not be another voice crying out in the wilderness, saying you that this is the timing of being caught up or not. It's for every father, every husband, every head of their household to search the scriptures, to see what's being taught is true. You see, I would take no teaching on this from any denomination, any other pastor, any platform. I had to find this out for my children and for my wife's sake. Search the scriptures. Do not rely on someone else to teach you the timing of being caught up. But we have to learn about the tribulation. It is the most amazing, awesome book in the entire scriptures. God saves the best for last. Now you've got to understand there's 3. How do we simply learn about the tribulation if you're from one of these 3 schools? We all have something like a wayward son or a wayward daughter or a wayward father or a wayward mother. Let's just see that they're going to be left here. They're going to be left here for the last 7 years of mankind. And we just want to train them. Let's just paint this picture that we just want to train them, teach them, instruct them of what to expect. Otherwise, they won't make it. They won't last and they'll lose everything. So let's just believe that we're going to be here and we're going to teach them and instruct them and train them in what to look out for. It's the first rider and the first rider only we're going to look at tonight. But before that, there's a reason. There's a reason. We got to stand up, guys. We got to stand up against this system, this beast system, and we got to call it how we see it. Now, before you drag me out of the city walls and stone me, you have one job and one job only. I want you to look at the rider, what's in his hand, the first rider on the white horse, what's in his hand, and I want you to look at the Greek and then the Latin. Then if for some reason you disagree, then you can drag me out the city walls and stone me. But here's the reason. Ezekiel 33, verse 2 onwards. Son of man, speak to the children of your people and say to them, when I bring the sword upon the land, and the people of the land take a man from their territory and make him their watchman, when he sees the sword coming upon the land, if he blows the trumpet and warns the people, then whoever hears the sound of the trumpet and does not take warning, if the sword comes and takes him away, his blood shall be on his own head. He heard the sound of the trumpet, but did not take warning. His blood shall be upon himself, but he who takes warning will save his life. He who takes warning, he who hears the blast of the trumpet, the blast of the shofar, will save his life. Verse 8. But if the watchman sees the sword coming and does not blow the trumpet, and the people are not warned, and the sword comes and takes any person from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity. But his blood I shall require at the watchman's hand. So you, son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. Therefore you shall hear a word from my mouth and warn them for me. There's direction and there's command. You shall hear a word from my mouth. There's direction. And warn them for me. There's the command. Now so many of us in this apostasy called Christendom are called out as watchmen, as a remnant, as watchmen, to blow the shofar, to blow the warning. So many of us know certain things that we can set the captives free with. And we got to stand on our wall, guys. We got to stand on our wall. We got to stand against this thing called Christendom, and we got to blow the shofar. Throughout all the prophetic books, Isaiah, Ezekiel, Amos, Hosea, Daniel, it shows you the state that you and I will come up against in the tribulation. Okay, just see that you're here, that you're just guiding and training your wayward son, your wayward daughter, your wayward father. You're just instructing him on what to look out for, no matter what school of thought you are from being caught up, being raptured. There are so many indications throughout these prophetic books of what to look for, of what to understand will come upon Christendom, upon the world. You just got to have eyes to see and ears to hear. This is the sad state of the last 7 years of mankind. The sad state of his so-called watchmen, who are supposed to be placed within all the churches. Isaiah 56, verse 10. This is the state of his watchmen throughout the tribulation. His watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark. Sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber. Yes, they are greedy dogs, which never have enough. And they are shepherds who cannot understand. They all look to their own way, every one for his own gain, from his own territory. Come, one says, I will bring wine and we will fill ourselves with intoxicating drink. Tomorrow will be as today and much more abundantly. Tomorrow will be as today. Well, guess what, you greedy dogs? Guess what, you greedy dog, watchmen and shepherds who have no understanding. They're all dumb dogs. Tomorrow will not be the same as today. And it shall not be more abundant. They're all lying down, loving to slumber, loving to sleep. They're filled with this unsound doctrine. That's what wine means throughout the prophetic books. Unsound doctrine, either good or bad. In this case, it's bad. Tomorrow will be the same. Come, tomorrow will be the same as today and much more abundantly. No, it won't. No, it won't. Because some of Yahushua's watchmen are standing on the wall and they're blowing a shofar. And if you hear the trumpet blast and take heed and take warning, you shall save your life. Revelation 6 talks about the four riders, the seven seals, the four riders. We're just going to look at one, the first rider. I'm not concerned. Don't take this the wrong way. I'm not concerned about the 1,000 years of peace. I'm not concerned about the new heaven, new earth, new Jerusalem. When that comes, Yahuwah and Yahushua is totally in control. We're just going along. We're just going along for the ride. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have no say. We have no say in 1,000 years of peace, the new heaven, the new earth, the new Jerusalem. It's up to Yahuwah, God the Father, and Yahushua, God the Son. Yeshua, God the Son, my Christ. But what we have to be concerned about is what is going to happen at the start of the tribulation. That's what I want to look out for. I want to know the first thing to come upon me, come upon my family, come upon those that I want to teach and instruct, those that I want to protect. Whether I'll be here or not, it's up to each husband, each father to work out the timing of the so-called rapture. Don't listen to apostate denominations, men of no understanding. The scriptures clearly show you what God does. He says, I bring a spirit of slumber upon them. They honour me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. I put a spirit of slumber upon them. My watchmen are all dumb dogs, all asleep. Except for the Ezekiels, standing on the wall, blowing his trumpet. Revelation 6, the first rider, the first seal. In Matthew 24, Christ's disciples come to him and say to us, tell us the things, the coming of the Son of Man and of the end of the ages. And the first four things out of Christ's mouth perfectly coincide with the first four riders. The first four seals. The second thing from Yahushua's mouth, he talks about war. The third thing, he talks about famine. The fourth thing out of Christ's mouth, he talks about pestilence. There's your virus. There's your virus. The fourth seal, pestilence. It ain't the third seal. It ain't the second seal. Let's see whether it's the first seal also. Now, as I said before you drag me out of the city walls and stone me, you have one job to do. Look at the Greek and look at the Latin. Why do you think there's only one verse, there's sometimes two verses on all these seals? On the riders on the first, the second, the third, the fourth horse. Proverbs shows you, it says, it is the glory of God to conceal a matter. But the glory of kings is to search this matter out. YAHWEH conceals, it's his glory. It's his glory to conceal a matter from his kings and priests. The true believers, the remnant, the elect, the holy people, the saints, those dressed in fine white linen. The remnant. It's the glory of God. It's not what he likes to do. You heard it before. It's not what he likes to do. It's not what he just chooses to do. It is his glory. It says in Proverbs, it is the glory of God to conceal a matter. But the glory of kings is to search this matter out. Look at the Greek and then look at the Latin to see what's in the rider on the white horse's hand. Revelation 6, verse 2, and behold, and I looked, and behold, a white horse, and he who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer. He conquers. He does not fail. He conquers. What does he conquer? He conquers the entire earth. He conquers every family, every business, every job, every livelihood, every field, every nation. He conquers. He goes out conquering and conquers. We're given one verse to find out what's in his hand. He has a bow. He rides out with a bow, and a crown was given to him. You want to understand the book of Revelation. You want to truly, truly work out the tribulation for your sake, for your wayward son, your wayward daughter, your wayward father. You want to just know about tribulation to teach these good people who have no hope, because their watchmen are all blind, dumb dogs, loving to sleep, loving to slumber. You've got to have the Greek, the Hebrew, and the Latin. He's got a bow in his hand. In the Greek, bow is toxon. We translate it from the Greek. John's sitting on the island of Patmos. He's writing the book of Revelation. He's writing the book of Revelation in Greek. It needs to be read in Greek and then translated back into English. He has a bow in his hand. It means toxon. And that translates back into English one thing and one thing only: the simplest of fabric. He's given the crown, and he goes out conquering and to conquer. It's not the Greek that throws light upon crown. It's the Latin. The Latin for the word crown is this: Sharona. So the rider on the white horse is given the simplest of fabric and sharona. And he goes across the world and he conquers. But who is this rider? Who is this rider on a white horse? When a Roman general conquers some land, he's placed on a white horse and driven through the promenade back in Rome, proclaiming victory, the conqueror. That's who this white horse is. It's like a Roman general on top of it, conquering the earth, going through the promenades of Rome. It's the first thing out of Christ's mouth that shows you who this rider is. When his disciples in Matthew 24 asked Yahushua, what shall be the signs of the coming of the Son of Man and of the end of the age, the first thing out of Christ's mouth is, see to it that no one deceives you. The rider on the white horse is a deceptive Antichrist, destroying angel, who has the simplest of fabric and sharona in his hands. 27 times throughout the Old Testament, 27 times Yahuwah uses destroying angels to bring his judgment upon the earth. What makes you think that the last 7 years of mankind will be any different? These are destroying angels riding out. God's instrument of judgment. That's who he's always used. And the first rider is a deceptive, destroying angel. He deceives the world with his simplest of fabric and sharona. He deceives the entire world. You have one job only, guys. Before you drag me out to city walls and stone me, you look it up for yourself. Search the scriptures. Acts 17:11. Search the scriptures to see what's being taught is true. Look at the Greek for the bow. Then look at the Latin for the corona, for the crown. Let's see how God deals with the bow and the crown at the end of the tribulation. Isaiah 25 verse 7. This is how Yahuwah deals with what the rider has in his hand, deceiving the entire world, conquering the entire world. It is written in stone. Nothing can stop it. There are three major themes of the tribulation. 1 is deception, 2 is martyrdom, and 3, that Yahuwah and Yahushua are in control. The very first verse of Revelation 1 shows you who the tribulation belongs to. It's not the tribulation, it's not the revelation of the beast, and it's not the revelation of the false prophet. It is the revelation of Jesus Christ, Yahushua. He is in control of the last 7 years of mankind. Pull your head up from out of the sand. Shake off the mantle of fear. He's in control. He's looking for his remnant. He's looking for his strong ones to stand on the wall and blow the shofar, warn the people. And if they take heed, if they hear the warning, their lives shall be saved. This is how Yahuwah deals with the bow and the crown at the ends of the tribulation. Isaiah 25 verse 7. And he, God the Father, Yahuwah, and he will destroy on this mountain the surface of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. He will destroy the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. There's the weapons in a rider on a white horse's hand. And that's how God, Elohim, Yahuwah, shall deal with him and his weapons. because he is in control. Make no mistake, people. If you don't stand up on your watchtower, and if you don't blow your shofar, the tekiah blast, the long sounding blast, God will simply move away and look for one more true elect, one more true tribulation saint, one more what Daniel talks about, the holy people. My holy people shall be strong and shall carry out great exploits. This is right at the crunch in the book of Daniel, when the beast makes war against the saints. The very next verse just fills me with hope. But, I love the very next word, but my people, this is God the Father talking, my people shall be strong and they shall carry out great exploits. He's talking about the remnant. He's talking about the saints. He's talking about the elect. They shall be strong when the beast makes war against the holy people, and they shall carry out great exploits. But you've got to stand on your war, and you've got to give out a long, long blast. Like we're trying to do right here, right now. Make no mistake, God will just pass it over to another woman, another man who will rise up like Esther. Esther was shaken. One verse in Esther shows me this. Esther 4:14. Esther was shaken. She wanted to run away and hide. She wanted to put her head in the sand and say, it's not for me. I ain't here. I ain't here. It's for another generation. Esther was living in fear. So Mordecai, her uncle, gets a message back to Esther through the servants. And it shook the very core of Esther. It shook off that mantle of fear, that spirit of fear within her. And she rose to her God-given calling. That's what God's looking for now. He's looking for your God-given calling. One verse, Esther 4:14. If we don't rise up, if you and I don't rise up, he's simply going to pass this command, this trumpet, this shofar to another one, a true watchman, a true believer. The house of Israel has always been split between the true house of Israel and the false. My watchmen are all dumb dogs, loving to slumber. Except for the Ezekiels, except for the Esthers. They're standing up tall on the wall. They're about to let out a long tekiah blast from their shofar. Esther 4:14. For if you, here's Mordecai speaking. Here's Mordecai speaking to his servant. Get the message, get the message, get the message to my niece. Get the message to her. God's looking for one person, this one woman to save the life of all of the Jews. Get this message to her. For if you, hey Esther, for if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. Yet who knows whether you've come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Yeah. God saves the best of the wine for the last of the feast. He's kept his watchman, his remnant, for the last of the feast. That's why you've come to the kingdom for such a time as this. But make no mistake, if you remain completely silent, relief and deliverance for the Jews shall come from another place, and you and your father's house shall perish. Stand up tall. Stand up tall. Stand up tall like Esther did. That's all Esther needed. Esther needed is one word from the man of God, Uncle Mordecai. And I love this woman of God's response. She goes, yeah, Unc, yeah. And you know what? If I perish, I perish. There's your third school. There's your third school of thought that we're all going to be martyred and no one's going to be caught up. If I perish, I perish. It does not matter what school of thought you're from. The timing of what you call the rapture, what I call being caught up. All that matters is that you stand on your watchtower and you blow the trumpet. If you feel you won't be here, You're blowing it for your wayward son, your wayward father, your wayward daughter. If you feel that you are going to be here, you're learning how to stand strong and hard and carry out great exploits. If you feel you're going to be martyred and no one's going to be caught up, then if I perish, I perish. But I ain't going to stand before the kingdom of God and let Yahusha call me, Yeshua call me, a blind, dumb dog, watchman. I love what Jehu said. The great judge Jehu, he said, come with me and see my zeal for the Lord. Come with me and see my zeal for the Lord. Blow that shofar, blow that trumpet. God's looking for his end-time watchman. The rider rides out on a white horse. He's got the simplest of fabric and Serena, and he conquers the earth. But he's a deceptive, destroying Antichrist angel. Stand strong and blow and blow.
I find I'm moving to the rhythms of your grace. Your fragrance is intoxicating in a secret place. I find I'm moving to the rhythms of your grace. Your fragrance is intoxicating in a secret place. I